Welcome to week one. I'm Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup for Tuesday, September 6th, 2022.
It's time for the FantasyPoints.com Daily Lineup. Staying on top of the latest news and updates around the NFL. Rise and shine, folks. We're taking the field. Here's your host, FantasyPoints.com's Joe Dolan.
Starting at quarterback in week one is likely the Steelers' Mitchell Trubisky. Now, Trubisky is listed first at quarterback on the Steelers' initial depth chart, followed by Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. Teresa Varley of the team's official site reports. Now, Trubisky was also named a team captain. So while there's no official word from Coach Mike Tomlin on who will start the Steelers opener, we'll probably get that soon, maybe today, in fact. This appears to be pointing in only one direction. While Pickett was generally impressive during the preseason, Trubisky did well enough that the Steelers evidently decided not to break their promise to him. He clearly signed with the club with the assumption he would start at quarterback for them. And while that is highly unlikely to last more than a few weeks, Trubisky is indeed going to get his chance to play and put tape out there. One thing I will not read into is Pickett being listed third on the depth chart. If, meaning when, Trubisky struggles, the Steelers aren't going to put Mason Rudolph in. They will go to the rookie Pickett. Nonetheless, it would be shocking if Trubisky isn't under center in week one against Cincinnati. He's not a fantasy option himself in all but the deepest of two QB leagues, but the hope is he gives the offense more life than Ben Roethlisberger did last year. Starting at running back today is someone returning from an Achilles tear. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson said Monday that James Robinson, who is recovering from a torn Achilles suffered in January, will take the field during Sunday's regular season opener against the Commanders, John Shipley of Jaguar Report writes. Now here's what our Dr. Edwin Porras has to say about Robinson. Robinson will be active in week one, which puts him right on track based on average return times from the injury. Robinson and his rehab team deserve all the credit in the world, but the safe bet from this backfield in 2022 remains Travis Etienne. If Robinson bounces back and is in any way productive, it will be against the odds as an average for NFL standards athlete. Now, Achilles tears for running backs are at best career alterers, typically career ruiners, see Marlon Mack, and at worst, career enders. We'll see how Robinson looks, but we aren't overly optimistic about his range of outcomes this season. Note Mack. The Texans released Mack from the practice squad Monday. If Mack can't even stick on a practice squad, it might be all over for him. He tore his Achilles in week one of 2020 and 2 years later couldn't stick on the Texans roster. Mack had 28 carries for 101 yards. That's a 3.6 yard average in 2021 before the Colts effectively benched him. I hope J-Rob can avoid the same fate, but from a fantasy perspective, there's no way I'm sticking him in a lineup right now, sight unseen. At our other running back spot, we have a potential committee. Per Scott Bair of the Falcons official website, expect veteran Damien Williams to factor heavily into the workload at running back. Here is what Bair wrote this week, quote, I'm still curious how much Cordero Patterson takes conventional running back carries this season versus how much they move him around the formation. Damien Williams will factor heavily into the run game, and I think Tyler Algier plays a significant role in his rookie season. Everybody will have their role with short yardage options and quality receivers out of the backfield. Patterson, however, has been on his own ramp-up plan. We haven't seen a ton of him even in open practices, so it's tough to get a gauge on how he'll be used in 2022. Now, we know Williams can produce when given a role because he's a good receiver. One could make the argument he should have been MVP of Super Bowl 54. But obviously, this team is far different than the one he was on then. Nonetheless, Williams is someone who could be an early season waiver target if Algier isn't getting a ton of carries at the start of the season. But all said, a full-blown committee on a bad team is never good for fantasy. The only back who can be in consideration for a week one lineup is Patterson, given it's near certain he'll have a pass-catching role. Our first wide receiver spot is up in the air. Packers wideout Alan Lazard was spotted running off to the side during Monday's practice, Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports. Lazard is dealing with an undisclosed injury. The Packers don't have to release any injury information until Wednesday per NFL rules. Coach Matt LaFleur then seemed wishy-washy on Lazard's status when discussing it on Monday, saying, quote, "We'll see as the week progresses." Meanwhile, rookie Christian Watson appears to be on track to play against the Vikings, and we barely got a look at him this summer as he recovered from an off-season knee procedure. Lazard is the presumed number one wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers, but if he can't go, it'll be fascinating to see what the target breakdown is for the Packers. If Lazard doesn't play, I wouldn't be overly excited about getting any of Watson, Romeo Doubs, Sammy Watkins, or Randall Cobb in my redraft lineups. But savvy DFS players will absolutely be attacking this situation and getting some exposure to Rodgers' weapons for cheap. Rodgers' comments this offseason, of course, have been interesting. He's been effusive in his praise of Dobbs, rare for a rookie with Rodgers, but has also insinuated that vets like Watkins and Cobb would be first up for targets this offseason. If I had to choose someone to play in week one, if Lazard doesn't play, I would go with the rookie Dobbs, followed by Watkins. At our other wide receiver spot, we have one of the most hyped players of training camp. Bills wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie was listed as a full participant Monday, Chris Brown of the Bills official site reports. McKenzie limped off the practice field in late August with what we now know was a groin injury, because the Bills finally had to tell us. Indeed, this is the first time we're learning what McKenzie's injury is, but it also might not matter what his injury is because a full practice on Monday gives him an excellent shot to suit up to play on Thursday, and now we would presume that would be the case. If he suits up, he's a PPR wide receiver 4 in a potentially high-scoring game against the Rams in the national TV opener. With an over-under of 52.5, Buffalo and LA have the second highest projected scoring game of the week, so there should be plenty of opportunities for points here. And in our flex spot, we have someone from the highest projected scoring game of the week. Hopefully. Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury called tight end Zach Ertz day-to-day on Monday. Darren Urban of the Cardinals official site reports. Ertz has been dealing with a calf injury for over a month now. Ertz looks as if he will truly be a toss-up for week 1 against the Chiefs. We have to monitor practice reports throughout the week, but if he can't go, rookie tight end Trey McBride could have a pretty big opportunity in a potential high-scoring game. The projected over-under is 53.5, by the way, 1 point ahead of the Bills and Rams and Raiders and Chargers. Now, day-to-day sounds minor, and probably is. But as our Dr. Edwin Porras points out, Kingsbury cannot be trusted when he says day-to-day. Last November 8th, he called DeAndre Hopkins day-to-day with a hamstring injury. Hopkins didn't play until December 5th. Meanwhile, Cardinals slot wide receiver Rondale Moore practiced on Monday as he recovers from an undisclosed injury. This is per Jose M. Romero of the Arizona Republic. Now, it's a great sign for Moore's potential availability against the Chiefs in week 1. His role could potentially be even more important if Ertz can't go. Moore would be an upside-oriented wide receiver 4 in this projected points fest against the Chiefs and will be very popular for DFS. I'm Joe Dolan, and this has been the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup. It will air every Tuesday through Friday this NFL season. Remember to like this video, just hit that thumbs up down at the bottom, and subscribe to the Fantasy Points channel for the daily lineup and all our videos. Now, if your fantasy draft is over, that doesn't mean your roster is complete. At fantasypoints.com, we'll help you make your roster as strong as it can be with our industry-leading articles, tools, and projections. We're in week 1 mode now, and we'll be locked in for the next 18 weeks. Now, if you're looking for the best waiver, trade, and start-sit advice, our standard package will cover you. But if you're a DFS nut or like making prop and against the spread bets, our premium package is the one for you. Whatever you choose, just use code LINEUP22. LINEUP22, that's it, for an extra 10% off any package. Welcome to the 2022 NFL season, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.